Hi guys, it's me, Kylie. I'm here today to wrap up January, and you know what? January was one of my best reading months that I've ever had, and I'm very excited to share with you what I did get done. I want to start with the first book that I picked up this year, and that is The Chaos of Standing Still by Jessica Brody. This book follows a girl who is quickly approaching the 1 year anniversary of the death of her best friend. And she gets stuck in an airport the day before that day hits. While she's stuck in the airport, she literally runs into this boy, and she ends up going on this sort of like one-day adventure with these strangers type of a thing. I've personally felt that this book was one of the best books I've ever read. It was very warm and welcoming, and it dealt a lot with grief in a way that is positive and uplifting. And I felt like I had I've never dealt with grief personally, and I feel very fortunate that I haven't had to do that, but I feel like I got a good perspective of what grief is like from reading this book. So the next book that I read is actually my book club pick of the month. If you don't know, I do run a book club. It's called Literary Alliance, and I host that with Brianna from Coffee Books and Bullet Journals. This month we read Circe by Madeline Miller, and this is the story of Circe, who is the daughter of Helios, and she is exiled to an island for turning another nymph into a sea monster. So that's the premise if you're not really familiar with Circe's story. Like, I wasn't familiar with anything. This is based on Homer's Odyssey, which I am also not familiar with at all. And I gave this 4 stars out of 5. Personally, it wasn't for me, and I had a hard time with the writing style. It was very lyrical and just hard to absorb all the information, so I had a little bit of an issue with that. Other than that, I absolutely 100% see why there's so much praise around this book and why it got an award. It is like Book of the Year or something along that lines. But I do recommend it. I would say be wary. There is a little bit of sexual assault in this book, so keep that in mind when you pick it up. Alright, so the next book that I actually read for the Buzzwordathon, which is hosted by Books and Lala. I don't know if there are other hosts, but I know she is the main one, I think. And the word this year is lie, or this time around was lie. You could do liar, lying, lied, all of that. As long as it fit with the word lie. The first book that I picked up was Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney, and I actually gave this 3 stars out of 5, and it's okay. Like, it's just a very okay thriller. It didn't really catch me by surprise. The twist in the book was not very twisty in my humble opinion, but it wasn't bad. This book follows this woman who ends up going into a coma, and it's really about her piecing together how she got into a coma, because why the heck is she in a coma? That's not normal. So that's what it is. And, you know, along the way, there's, of course, drama and secrets that are revealed. So, yeah. But, excuse me, I'm still a little bit sick. But I did not think this was a bad book. I didn't think it was very twisty, but I can't honestly, in my opinion, say that this is like the best book ever, because it's not. It's okay. And the next book that I read for the Buzzwordathon is actually We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. This follows this group of kids on this like estate island thing, and they call themselves the Liars. This centers around their summers and all of the things that they get into. Tell you the truth, I can't really explain better than that because this book was boring as heck. Okay? It was very, very boring, and I didn't enjoy it. I gave it 2 stars. I managed to finish it, but my attention was often elsewhere, and I don't know. It just kind of sucked. I didn't like it. Me and Brianna actually read this at the same time, and we kind of both agreed that the adults in the book were only concerned about the estate. Like, it was, you're gonna get the estate, aren't you worried about the estate? You know, stuff like that, and that was very off-putting to me. It just didn't really seem realistic because, you know, adults, they worry about adult things, but they are still people. So, you know, I don't know. I'm gonna move on, okay? So the next book that I read, I actually buddy read with Deanna, and that would be Sky in the Deep. I gave this 4 stars, and it's by Adrienne Young. I can't forget that. So this follows an Asuka warrior who, while she's on the battlefield, notices that her brother, who is supposed to be dead, is fighting with the enemy. So she follows them and is trying to find out, why aren't you actually dead? What are you doing with the enemy? And during that, she ends up getting taken as a slave to the enemy, which are the Riki. And while she is with the Riki, she kind of learns more about their people, what happened to her brother, and why and how is she going to get home. I really enjoyed this book. I felt like it was very well written, and it pulled out emotions that from that I could relate with the main character. I really felt the anger that she felt, and I felt the heartbreak that she had felt. I definitely recommend that you pick this up if you are looking for a YA fantasy to read. There is a small trigger warning for sexual assault, so just bear that in mind. But as far as I'm aware, which I read the whole book, so I should be pretty aware, there is nothing too explicit, but there is some stuff. So, alright, so we're at the big one. This is kind of where the bulk of my reading came from. I read 7 of Tokyo Ghoul, which is a manga series. I read 7 of them, and I gave them all 4 to 5 stars. I am not going to tell you which ones are which because it's just a very good series, and I recommend that you go ahead and pick it up. If you don't know, this follows a boy, or I guess he's like a young man, named Ken Kaneki, and he lives in a world where ghouls exist, and a ghoul is basically a person who eats people to survive. It's not like they have other options. It's just kind of how their body is made up. They have to. It's what they feed on. It's how their body processes nutrients, I guess. So he's actually human, like a you and me human, and he goes on a date with a ghoul. Well, he thinks that she's a human, but he goes on a date with a ghoul, and she tries to eat him, but fails and dies. And he's rushed to the hospital with also the ghoul body and has ghoul organs transplanted into him, so he is now half human, half ghoul. And he is enveloped into this new world, and learning all of these ghoul things and how ghouls eat and what they do. And realizing that there is this whole other side and maybe they're not monsters like the media portrays. A whole bunch of stuff happens. I can't even begin to say it. Like, that's just the setup. It's very good. All 4 to 5 stars. There is a lot of gore in it, a lot of violence, like a lot. So just be aware of that if you decide to pick it up, but I highly recommend it. This is something that me and my husband are reading together. We are reading the manga and then we're going to sit down and watch the anime together, and I'm very excited about it. Alright, you guys, that's all I got for you. Don't forget to give that red button a click down below so that you subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell as well so that you can get all of my videos right away. If you like the video, go ahead and give us a thumbs up, and I will catch you later. Bye.